Give me that car right now. That's how my morning started. A woman I barely knew, standing in my driveway, screaming at me like she owned the world. She threatened to call the cops unless I handed over my SUV keys, and the wildest part, she had no idea the man she was threatening wasn't some contractor. I was a federal chief, and the second I showed my badge, her whole world collapsed. Act 1. The Spark. My name is Larry Roberts. I'm 50 years old, and after decades working for the Department of the Interior, I thought I'd earned some peace. I had just moved into a quiet suburban neighborhood outside D.C. Fresh start, new neighbors, new rhythm, or so I thought. That morning, I was sipping coffee, loading a few things into my SUV, a government vehicle. Though it looks like a regular black Ford Expedition, no flashy markings, no government plates. For security reasons, I keep a low profile. Then she appeared. Teresa Evans, mid-40s, pearls around her neck, HOA clipboard in hand, storming up my driveway like she owned the asphalt under her heels. She pointed at my SUV like it was cursed. "That's my car," she snapped. "God sent it to replace what was stolen from me. Hand me the keys, or I'll call the police." At first, I thought she was joking. I let out a short laugh, but she didn't laugh back. Her face was serious, twisted with rage. I calmly said, "Ma'am, this is my work vehicle. Please step off my property." She raised her voice, hands shaking, dialing 911. Loud enough for the whole block to hear, she shouted into the phone, "I'm reporting a man refusing to give me my compensation car. He's stealing from me." Within minutes, a patrol car rolled up. Officer Parker stepped out, clearly irritated by the call. I handed over my ID and ownership papers. Everything checked out. But Teresa wasn't satisfied. "This isn't over," she hissed. "I'm the HOA president. I'll handle this my way." That was my official welcome to the neighborhood, courtesy of Teresa Evans, Queen of the HOA. Act 2. Escalation and doubt. It started small notices stuffed into my mailbox. Violation. Vehicle parked outside garage. Violation. Mailbox not community standard. Violation. Porch light. Too bright. Every week, a new one. Neighbors started whispering too. I'd catch them giving me side eyes, as if Teresa had already poisoned the well. One evening, my neighbor Bob, retired Navy guy, steady voice pulled me aside. He said, "Larry, you should know. That cabin you bought used to be hers. She lost it in the divorce. She's been bitter ever since. Anyone who parks in that driveway, she sees as an enemy." Suddenly, it all clicked. This wasn't about HOA rules. This was personal. The pressure didn't stop there. At 6 in the morning, I looked out my window and saw Teresa with a tape measure, measuring the length of my grass. Another day, she was in her car with binoculars, recording me carrying groceries. Then the vandalism started. One night, my SUV was spray-painted with the words, "Blood Debt," in red. Tires slashed. Side mirror smashed. I walked outside and felt something twist inside me. Professionally, I knew this was felony damage. Personally, it was exhausting. My sanctuary had turned into a battlefield. The breaking point came at an HOA meeting. Teresa stood up in front of a whiteboard, waving fake seizure documents, ranting that my car was illegally parked federal property and should be turned over to the community. She riled up the room so hard that 12 people signed a petition demanding I leave or comply. That night, I sat on my porch staring at the lake. For the first time in years, I doubted myself. What if she's right? What if my presence here really does disrupt the peace? Maybe I should sell and walk away. I was one phone call away from listing the property when something happened that flipped everything. Act 2. The twist. Tom, the tech-savvy neighbor with security cameras all over his yard, knocked on my door. He had footage Teresa, in the dead of night, sneaking onto my driveway, spray-painting my SUV while whispering prayers about her late husband. Then he dropped the bombshell. "Larry, her husband isn't dead." He pulled up contractor records from a government database. Teresa's late husband, Mark Evans, had faked his death after a financial scandal. He was alive in Mexico, under a new identity. I felt my chest tighten. Teresa wasn't fighting for justice. She was lost in delusion, clinging to a ghost who had abandoned her. And me, I realized my doubt had been misplaced. I wasn't the problem. She was, and now I had proof. Act 3. The showdown. The climax came on a Saturday morning. Teresa had announced a community property recovery event on Facebook Live. When I stepped outside, my street looked like a circus. She had folding tables with papers spread out, cameras rolling, neighbors whispering, strangers gawking. She arrived in all black, pearls gleaming, holding a crowbar like it was a holy staff. She raised it high and declared, "Today we take back what the government stole from me." She marched toward my SUV. That was it. Time to end it. I stepped forward, projecting my voice so the cameras would hear. "Everyone here needs to understand. She is committing federal crimes right now." The live stream comments exploded. Thousands were watching. Teresa froze, confused, crowbar shaking in her hand. That's when I reached into my jacket and pulled out my badge. "I am Chief Larry Roberts, Department of the Interior. And you've just incriminated yourself in front of the entire internet." The silence was electric. Neighbors' jaws dropped. Even the officer on standby straightened up. Teresa's face drained of color. The crowbar clattered to the pavement. Then Tom stepped forward, phone in hand, voice shaking but steady. "Teresa, your husband isn't dead. He's in Mexico. He scammed you." The scream Teresa let out. It wasn't anger. It was betrayal. Pure heartbreak. She collapsed onto the asphalt, sobbing. Mark lied. Mark lied." Officer Parker moved in and gently cuffed her. She didn't fight. She just kept whispering his name, her whole world crumbling. And Maria, the HOA treasurer, cracked too. She confessed Teresa had embezzled $15,000 of HOA funds to finance her crusade. That was the final nail. Within minutes, federal backup arrived. Teresa's live stream turned into Exhibit A. The woman who thought she could bully me out of my own driveway had destroyed herself for the world to see. Closing reflection. That night, I sat on my porch, the lake calm, my SUV parked quietly in the drive. For the first time since moving in, I felt peace, and I realized something I'll never forget. Grief may break you, but it doesn't excuse breaking others.